SADC is stepping in amidst pro-democracy protests in eSwatini. The Troika met with the kingdom's government over the weekend. However, civil society is divided about whether the intervention will yield any positive outcomes. Joining me now is Lukhele from the Swaziland Solidarity Network, who says the organization is frankly out of touch with the situation on the ground. Lucky, good morning. Thank you for joining me. So why do you say that SADC is out of touch with the situation in Eswatini?
Well, it is out of touch in a sense that the president of Botswana, in his capacity as chairperson of Troika, issued a statement that is unfortunate, even mentioning a number that at least one person is dead, when the very same regime that is killing these people, their number is higher than his. Theirs is at 29, yet the actual figure is at 47 that have been shot dead by the army and the police in Swaziland. So the intervention of SADC, again, it puts the blame of the violence on the side of the civilians, in this case the citizens. Yet the citizens are a recipient of this lethal force by a militia, masquerading as the Swazi army and the police.
What would change things around? What would put them in touch with the situation and would perhaps make their intervention more effective than you anticipate it will be?
Well, as we have been calling for the intervention of neighboring countries, SADC in particular, as a regional body, is that it is somehow to calm down the situation and stop the blood flow that has been flowing since the past 2 weeks. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the SADC team arrived in Swaziland yesterday, but unfortunately they had the whole day meeting with the Swazi government without even inviting political parties and the civil society. What then became bizarre was that there seems to be a collusion among the SADC ministers or head of state, where the Swazi government brought in some royal praise singers, including a brother-in-law to the king, masquerading as representative of the civil society. And we thank the Swazi civil society, led by the deputy president of Prudemo, who forced their way inside the conference room where they are and demanded to be heard by this SADC team, of which later on they apologized by not inviting them, and they even made a commitment of coming back before the end of this week to thoroughly investigate and get much more information on the ground. But in a way, SADC now must be, I would say, it's a shame on them for allowing this dictatorship and also being part of the secret meeting, because this was not supposed to be a secret meeting in the first place.
Yeah, we've seen elsewhere in a number of instances, I think of the situation in Lesotho, I think about Zimbabwe, where there's been a crisis and SADC's responses to appoint a mediation team over an extended period of time with an extended mandate, and those processes usually lead to, some kind of I don't know, unity accord, a government of national unity, and eventually lead to elections. Can we be that optimistic if we consider that to be a successful approach? Can we be that optimistic that perhaps this could have, in the mid to long term, could lead to a similar process in Eswatini, or is this a different kettle of fish altogether?
Well, we are optimistic if the team that will be coming from these regional bodies are genuinely and are sincere in their approach. But in this case, for instance, in Swaziland, clearly it looks like they were paying a lip service. How on earth will you expect to get information when you go in for a few hours and then you leave? You only meet one party. Now, the first approach is a disappointment from the SADC point of view, because if you want to investigate and be thorough, you bring in experts. For instance, we should be talking that these people are still in Swaziland, meeting all sectors of society, including the royal family itself. Investigate the dead, meet these families that have lost their loved ones, meet the workers, meet the churches, not some selected few people that are coming from the royal family. However, we are optimistic. Sometimes you don't lose hope in any situation. But at the same time, what gives us hope again is that the people of Swaziland have already called themselves, as from today going forward, that it will be betrayal of a highest order now to leave the streets for those that have perished. It will be betrayal of a highest order to now say we are calling off this action. The people are on the streets as we speak, and they are saying up until King and Swati unbanned political parties.
All right, Lukhele, thank you for that. In fact, if I can add anything, I would say perhaps we need transparency in as far as the number of people that have died in those protests in eSwatini. I mean, it's hugely important. You can, have all these political disagreements and about the trajectory of where the country is supposed to go. But once lives are lost, I believe we as a region, as humanity, we deserve full transparency of how many people have died, under what circumstances, and what is being done about that particular situation. Certainly, SADC themselves should be making these demands, not just me making these demands. You're watching